and thanks everybody for connecting today. We welcome you, and I will pass the word to David Andres Leon, MaCAD Director, to give you a overview of what is MaCAD about. So just one sec, we are live. Whenever you want, David.
Great. Well, thanks. Thanks for the intro, Lauri. Thanks everyone for joining this little webinar about the masters that we so love, that we're all here about, which is MaCAD, the Masters in Advanced Computation, Architecture and Design. And we're just going to tell you very briefly about what I'll tell you about what the masters is about, and then we have some of our former beloved alumni here to tell you more in person about their experience and in each of the chapters of the masters encompasses. But so before I share my screen, just like to preemptively apologize if I have a bit of a cold, so if I happen to mute myself for a second there, just don't panic. In any case, so you're all here to learn a little bit more about the Masters in Advanced Computation, Architecture and Design, which I proudly direct alongside with Laura, who's the coordinator, who's here with us as well, which is a 100% online accredited program, part of EAC, which is about mainly training a new generation of experts with the skills that the AEC industry demands today. So I will tell you just a little bit about the logistics first, and then we'll get into the content and the experience with our alumni here. MaCAD is now divided into two sections pretty much. The first section is a larger part of it, which runs in 9 months from October to December, January, March, April to June, divided into 3 modules. And I will speak about these more in depth in the later slides. And after that, to continue it, there's also an additional option to do MaCAD 2, which is industry research in the topics that we actually develop, and it's composed of a thesis module, which is divided into 2 parts, module 1 and module 2. And this just goes from October to December of the next period. So that's basically what we're offering now, academically, and also in terms of putting the things that you learn into practice and getting acquainted also with all of the industry partners that we have around us up to the day. The masters you can actually follow synchronously live during the mornings, and watch the lectures and the live mentoring sessions live during the morning, which is basically attending presentially to those, or you can actually join asynchronously by watching the lectures recorded, and then join the live mentoring sessions in the afternoon if that suits you better. Everyone in the masters is united by this online campus platform that we all share together, which is pretty much a whole ecosystem of software that we use. For the synchronous format that I speak about, the classes are mainly between 10 and 1 a.m. in Barcelona time, and this is more or less how it looks like in the calendar as an example. Of course, it varies module to module, but it's pretty much a full week of classes in between seminars and theory and studio and support sessions. And for the asynchronous guys, it's mainly watching the lectures on your own and then joining in a time frame between 4 or 6 in the afternoon Barcelona time, where you can actually interact with the faculties and get live feedback from them as well. It's all about the online campus experience. It's all about creating a network of people, becoming a big group of guys that are doing advanced architecture stuff. That even though we are actually in online format, there's a great deal of interaction not only between students and faculties, but also a lot between the students. And this is one of the things that we're mostly proud about in MaCAD. It's the huge diversity that we have of students joining this program, because it's online, not only in terms of backgrounds of location, but also in terms of their backgrounds, and technical skills overall, we have managed to amass a very rich community of people that it's actually what I like to think a very important and really fruitful network of professionals that are still helping each other up to the day. We're very proud of all of the faculties that we have. Also, because of the fact of being online, we managed to get talent from all over the world. Some of these faces you would recognize if you would already involved in the computational design world. And some of the names also of our tools and collaborators, which are the basically bringing the expertise and the critical thinking into the program by teaching or by somehow participating. And this is also possible outcomes for where you can actually go contacts that you would make in the AEC industry by joining the program as well. Last but not least, I said the program is divided into three aspects, into three modules. Each of these runs by 3 months in the first part of MaCAD. And the first one deals more with computational design, basics and parametrics. We inquire into complex forming, environmental performance, and structural optimization. Eva, who's here, will tell us a little bit more about that in a second from her own experience. The second module, which is the BIM and smart construction module, focuses on digital technologies in terms of integrated modeling, cloud-based data management, and collaborative workflows. Basically, everything that you need to learn to somehow start to manage complex architecture as data. And finally, Livni will tell us a little bit more about that in a second too. And then finally, Hande will tell us about this third module, which is artificial intelligence, in which we really dive into the latest of all of the sort of hype that is now around us in terms of the way of how to process data after we have learned to turn our very complex architectural designs or models into data that we can actually generate machine learn from, or even turn into graphs so that we can get an alternate representation from. All of these, as you can see, very thorough, very advanced, and very comprehensive in 9 months, after which you then have the opportunity to dive into a more hands-on practical thesis in collaboration with industry partners, where you would put the knowledge that you learn in MaCAD to the test, with thesis advisors and advisors from industries. It will help you develop actual tools that would be hopefully useful and profitable for the AEC or for wherever your scope is in the masters. So that said, we also have a lot of contributions to academia. You know our Instagram site. Please join so you can get updated. Follow us and you get the latest in terms of publications, scholarships, discounts, whatever we constantly offer. And finally, we do meet we do give an opportunity to meet in Barcelona at one point, which is optional, but which is very nice because we all get to meet together here. So one thing that all of these three guys that are going to talk in a second already did. I don't want to take the most of the spot, because the spot is for these three brilliant alumni that are here to share their experiences with you guys. We're proud of the three of them as much as we're proud of all of the students that have gone through this very intensive program. In any case, I will stick around until the end to see if you have any questions or something that we can discuss. I'll be really happy to. So warm welcome, and I'll leave the floor to Eva, Livni, and Hande, who will tell you more about each of these chapters and their experiences.
Hello everyone.
Hi, Eva.
So let me share my screen.
The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Do you see my screen?
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, is it full screen?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so hello everybody. I'm Eva. I'm really happy to see some very familiar faces today here from the MaCAD family. And also I'm excited to connect with you to share my experience as a recent graduate. So I will start with a little bit about me. I come from an architectural background. I studied architectural engineering in Greece, where I earned an integrated master's degree. After graduating, I joined Henning Larsen as an intern and computational design intern. Then, following that, I worked as a teaching assistant for the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, which is located in Greece. It was in the context of the Master of Advanced Design program, and we were focusing on computational tools like Grasshopper and Zebras mostly. And then I joined the MaCAD program, the master that we're here to talk about today. So there I focused on computational design, collaborative tools, and also artificial intelligence tools. Later, after completing the master's, I worked as an instructor at the Design Fabrication Lab in Cologne, and then as also a computational design assistant at the IAG at this master's in the first module for the complex forming seminar. And then at the same time, I was also working remotely as a computational designer. And currently, I'm a computational design specialist slash architect engineer at OmniView Design, which is located in Greece. So moving on to why I chose MaCAD, I think that I decided to join MaCAD because I wanted to build a more solid foundation in the computational workflows. So I already had some prior experience with computational tools, but it was mostly self-taught. And I was feeling that this wasn't enough, especially in today's fast evolving landscape where new technologies are emerging like every day. So what really stood out to me about MaCAD was how the program brings together a very wide spectrum of tools, but all these come together under a very, cohesive architectural framework, and it doesn't just teach technologies separately, but interweaves them, creating a comprehensive system that connects all of these aspects under the computational design umbrella. So we start with parametric modeling and advanced geometries using Rhino and Grasshopper, and then we quickly moved into environmental and structural analysis, working with sunlight, daylight, wind, structural behavior, and ultimately combining those into the same workflow. We also explored BIM workflows, Rhino to Revit processes, web development, and later even coding and machine learning. But I think the guys that are going to present will say more about these topics. What made it unique for me is that none of these tools were taught in isolation, and everything was introduced as part of a continuous architectural workflow. And this is really important for how I see architectural design. It's more let's say, a design palette that allows you to shape your own process. So I learned not just how to use the tools, but how to combine them in order to produce meaning, and how to select the right tool for each stage, for each project, from concept to performance, and also even to communication. In the assist module, that I think was a really exciting starting point for me. It began with tools that, might seem a bit basic at first, like Rhino and Grasshopper, but these are absolutely the, fundamental to the computational design. And then within just a few weeks, I found myself working on advanced environmental studies, doing simulations, using advanced tools like Ladybug, Caramba 3D, and many more specialized plugins. So we were actually simulating and evaluating real performance data for sunlight, wind, and structure. And for the first time, I think that I started to see performance not just as an afterthought or not just as a number or a post-design validation, but it was a starting point for design. And this is what shifted my mindset and it was like very transformative for me during the master's because it changed how I think about integrating environmental data, integrating advanced geometries, not just as a passive result, but like a design driver, and like something that can actually shape form and strategy from the beginning to meet the demands that we have today. Moving deeper into the assessed module, on this slide, you can see some of the very, very early exploration we did in advanced geometries. So it's very like also beginner friendly. And this is like in the context of the complex forming seminar. So we start from this type of studies, learning different techniques, for example, adaptive paneling, clustering, or particle growth systems. And throughout the seminar, we explore all these different techniques, not only on how to create complex geometries, but also in how to integrate the performance criteria directly into these processes. And this is where we started to connect form generation, environmental and structural logic, making the design expressive but also responsive. So almost within like a blink of an eye, you find yourself generating your first architectural structures and assemblies, but this time they're not just driven by aesthetics or just studies, but they start to respond also to context and they become in situ architectural designs. It's like more like a multidisciplinary workflow where multiple parameters come together, structural logic, environmental input. So what's truly important is that these workflows do not stay theoretical in the terms of the master, but they are situated and grounded, and they are also connected to real world conditions and constraints. So we learn how to support our design decisions through environmental studies. We analyze aspects like sky view, daylight autonomy, and many more. And also throughout these processes, we begin to understand also the subtle differences and overlaps that these types of analysis have and how they influence each other. And at the same time, we also develop skills to create clear and compelling visuals that effectively communicate the design intent, the performance, whether it's for academia, for master purposes, for clients. Then we also have some like wind studies. These are also part of the assessed module. So we include like landscape, scale, wind analysis, streamline visualizations, exploring how the urban fabric responds to wind flow and how environmental forces interact with the built environment. And that's all in order to make us better designers and understand how to design comfort public spaces. And one of like the most important and exciting aspects of the program is that you are encouraged to make the most out of everything you learn. So at first, especially in the assessed module, we are exposed to a wide range of tools and concepts that might feel overwhelming at first, but if you embrace it, it all starts to connect as you progress. So for example, by the time we reach the third model, which Hande will present later, we were able to apply all the earlier knowledge that we took from the first model and design an application that predicts with machine learning the indoor airflow. And this was integrated into Revit using real data to design and simulate the wind behavior inside the building that we design in real time. So this is where you really see that everything comes together. In the structural analysis section of the module, we learned how to use Caramba, simulate and evaluate structural performance. And the focus is mostly on understanding like basic structural principles, exploring different typologies and materials, and learning how to set up, analyze, and optimize parametric structures. So I have like some examples. From the seminar, we were trained to also interpret the results critically, check the reproducibility and troubleshoot the errors, gaining also the theoretical insights, but at the same time, and the practical modeling skills for the structural design. And by the end of the module, everything starts to come together. And it's like a transition from theory, from everything that you learned from the seminars to practice. So you take everything you've learned from the environmental, the structural, the complex forming, the advanced geometries, and apply it in a comprehensive design project. So in my case, the outcome was a fully parametric building system. The Grasshopper script we developed for this project integrates the program allocation, the geometry generation, and also environmental analysis and the structural simulation, and all comes together within a single workflow. So what is exciting is that it's not just a design tool for one project or for one architect. It becomes like more of a generative system that another designer could use it to produce another building based on the same performance-driven principles. So this really reflects for me the goal of the module, not just to teach these isolated and deconstructed tools, but to empower a more systemic thinking. And then what I learned in MaCAD did not also remain within the context of the master, of course. It did not remain theoretical or confined. I was able to apply it directly to office projects, from establishing parametric workflows to automating repetitive tasks and using simulations to solve complex design challenges. And at the same time, I also had the opportunity to teach Grasshopper to both colleagues and students, which has been an incredible experience also for my own growth as well. So lastly, in closing, I will say that reflecting on the past year, I can confidently say that I think the MaCAD has been a huge milestone. I think that the program offers many opportunities, and the projects and the workflows are truly, for me, at the forefront of architecture today. So I think that also beyond that, beyond the technical skills, what stands out most is also the network, the incredible network you built during this process, which is like a group of professionals I can always turn to for support and collaboration. And also, I wanted to mention that, of course, I don't believe that it's possible to be an expert in all of these areas at once. And you also may not immediately know which part of the masters you want to specialize in. However, I think it's really important, and maybe one of the most important things, to have a broad understanding of all the tools that are available. And that, for me, I think that this is the foundation that allows you to choose the right tool for each specific need. And I think that that's what truly matters. So yeah, that's from my side. I don't know if you have any questions, or maybe we can proceed to Libri.
I think maybe we leave the questions for the end, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course,
And-
sure.
And we just go with Libby. Thanks a lot, Eva, for
Yeah.
your take
Thank
on the
you.
masters. Amazing
Thank you,
presentation.
David. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, that was a very nice introduction to the first module that we have in MaCAD by Eva. And now we have Livni speaking about the second module. Livni, you know how to do this. The floor is all yours.
Yes. Great. Man, I cannot top those slides. What I'm gonna show is a bit more sloppy. But it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for the introduction. And Eva, that was pretty good. Look, do you want to stop your slides so I can share mine?
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, go on.
Let's do it. Okay, let's go for it. Yep, you guys see my name? Yes. Okay. So good. I am right now the head of design technology for an architecture company called White Architecture. This is a role I got after the masters. So I was kind of preparing for this role for a couple of years within the company, and the masters definitely gave me the extra hump to be able to get into this role within the company. We are a large company of around 500 people. So it's yeah, it was definitely an important thing to attend the master. So in my case, I was working 2 days a week for white, and then the rest was dedicated to the masters. I was attending the sync version. And now, because also of the masters, I ended up teaming up with 2 former classmates and one of the teachers. And then we founded our own company, and it's called Upskiller. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the things that I learned in the masters that ended up being applied in both the job at White as a head of design technology and in the startup that we founded. So for this module, the second module, which focuses on BIM and tools for collaboration, the first thing that we got was this boot camp right before we actually started the module, and we learned about Git. It was the first time, like, going full on code. But what you're looking at right now is the very first GitHub repo of our company. So finally, we have a proper repository where we can start having the record of all our scripts and starting to organize our tools. So this then is part of what I learned in the masters, and I could show other colleagues and how to do it, and we are implementing it in the company. Another subject was the theory, and in this particular module, the theory asks us to prepare a series of interviews that then we record and post as podcasts episodes. So if you go to Spotify and look for MaCAD IAC, you will find the series. In my case, I work with I forgot his name.
Reinhardt.
I'll remember. Yeah, Reinhardt. So, and then we decided to check or learn about this thing called data frameworks. And because of it, we ended up interviewing Tom van de Helen, which works for Building Smart, which is developing right now IFC5. And we also got to know or got in contact with Greg Sloishner from HOK, who is also been pushing these ideas of changing basically the way we work in architecture. So we don't need to share any more files, export as DWG or export as IFC even, but the whole idea that we can exchange data without the need to do these annoying exports, imports. So definitely the master opened up time to be able to research and find and talk to people. So this was definitely a highlight that I wouldn't have had the time to do it at work. What you're looking on the screen is some of the tools we have developed internally in the company during many years. And if you are familiar with human UI, you can recognize these little windows. And it's a mess trying to keep all of these guys consistent, because behind each of these little windows, there is a unique grasshopper. And if you want to change just the yellow color on the bars, you have to open each of the scripts and manually change that little piece. So what we're doing right now, because we learned, particularly with David, in the cloud data management seminar, we learned how to do this properly using frameworks such as Vue or React. So we chose React in our company. And now we have a proper repo where We just have one file that defines the look of all our apps, and then we are moving in that direction. No more Grasshopper human UI mess in the background. Just professionalizing basically the way we work. Another seminar that we had was a collaboration on the cloud. And then in this one, the focus was on Speckle. And we learned different ways to use Speckle. Speckle from Grasshopper, Speckle using Python. And then we learn a really important concept here that has been quite key for me, which is the concept of the web hooks, which basically means you can put scripts in your server that are going to run automatically every time, let's say, you save your file to the cloud. But the interesting thing is that it was important to understand that concept, that you can do such a thing as web hooks. And that facilitated, for example, understanding the mess of Autodesk, because Speckle is very clean as a platform. Autodesk is not. You have to consider many pieces. But it was still very helpful to understand both platforms. Then this is actually connected to the third module. But in the third module, we ended up developing with Hande some really cool daylight factor prediction models that we ended up publishing in a well-respected journal. And connected to that, I got access to funding, private funding from this Swedish foundation. It was the equivalent of salary for 2 people for 6 months. And because of that, we've been able to then start working on a startup. The other piece then finally was the thesis. This one I developed with Christoph. In this case, as Eva said very well, what you see is just a web page, but this web page is putting together a lot of interesting things. First, the web page itself, that we learn how to build such a thing. Second, behind, there is IFC, there is graphs, there is LLMs, there is servers, like all the pieces that we learned in the masters. We could apply here. There is even some Grasshopper that was needed to prepare the models that gives you all this data that we are querying in this particular project. So this is us, Christoph, Alejandro, Stasia, the teacher, and myself here in Stockholm. We had our first, how do you call it? The kickoff. For the company. So we are working together. And then also something really cool about MaCAD is the network. This was a couple of weeks ago in London. Bunch of teachers from the MaCAD. I went to Shape to Fabrication 4 years ago, and I was very lonely. I didn't know anybody. This times it was like I knew everybody in there, so it gave me lots of confidence to know lots of cool people that would attend this event. And then this is us. The network is not just Europe; it's the rest of the world. And then here are all of us happy in Barcelona. So definitely worth it joining the masters. You will learn lots of tools. You will learn new concepts, but you will also gain a huge network of cool people that you will learn a lot from them. So if you want to get in contact with me, please, these are my 2 emails, or just send me a message on LinkedIn. Yeah, super happy to answer any question.
Woohoo! Thank you, Livni. You don't have an Instagram account, right?
No, I don't.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, Livni. That was great. Every time I see a MaCAD reunion, like face-to-face gathering, I start to be emotional. And it's something that in MaCAD we look forward the end of the year just to meet and celebrate all together. So thanks for sharing this in your presentation as well. We can move now, if David, you don't want to add something else, with the third module presentation, AI in Architecture by Ande. And guys, if you
Let's
have
go.
any question, you can just even use the chat while we are talking. Don't be shy.
Let's go.
Can you see my screen?
Yes. Floor is yours, Hande. Go for it.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Hande Karataş, and I'm also really happy to be here today to share a bit about my MaCAD journey, and particularly the last module, which is my favorite, AI in Architecture. I suppose it was like everyone's favorite. A bit about me first. I have a bachelor's degree in architecture and worked professionally for a few years, mostly on large-scale infrastructure projects, like airport constructions. While that experience gave me a solid foundation, I started feeling a strong pull toward a different direction, something more experimental, more future-facing. And that is actually when I discovered MaCAD, and it became the turning point for my career. I joined the program with the intention to shift into computational design and, more importantly, to explore how AI can transform the way we approach architecture. At the time, I didn't have much background in this field, especially when it came to coding. And let me say, the AI in Architecture module did not disappoint. In fact, I think I can say that the best was saved for last. And this module wasn't just about using Midjourney or DALL-E to render cool images, which is what many people might initially think when they hear AI in architecture. It actually opened our eyes to the huge range of possibilities far beyond only generative visuals. And let me share a few projects I worked on with my groups during this module. I think they really show how broad and exciting the scope is. In one of our courses, we trained large language models based on books, making the model speak like the author. It was such a fun blend of literature and AI, and it got us thinking about how we could interact with texts in a completely new way. Again, in the same course, we also trained machine learning algorithms to create specific styled images. In our case, we managed to feed the model with Le Corbusier's sketches, and the model could draw a hand sketch of a car with Le Corbusier style. Another project involved geospatial machine learning. We predicted house prices in different parts of a city by using real-world listing data, proximity to transit, and other urban factors. And that experience really opened up new ideas about how architects and planners can work with urban data. We also did work on data encoding, in this case using numerical regression techniques to predict daylight performance inside buildings. We also discovered ways of validating our results in Rhino Grasshopper. And finally, in our studio project, which also involved Libni, we explored image-to-image translation using neural networks to predict daylight analysis directly from floor plans and spatial layouts. We had the chance to experience dealing with datasets, integrating Python in Rhino Grasshopper, and also Revit. Now, here's the part that I'm really proud of, which Livni already mentioned. Despite only having 3 months of experience in this field, our group and also some other groups were able to produce results that were strong enough to contribute to literature. We published a paper based on the work we did during this module, and that just shows how powerful the combination of good guidance, great collaboration, and the right tools can be even in a very short time. And of course, I'm not going to go into the technical details because I don't want to spoil the fun for those of you who will be joining soon. But just know that this module gives you the space to experiment, to fail, to learn, and to create things that are actually meaningful. To conclude, I understand that topics like advanced coding, machine learning, or integrating these tools with platforms like Rhino and Revit may initially seem intense or even overwhelming. And indeed, the learning curve can be steep at times. But what really stands about this module, and also MaCAD as a whole, is how quickly that initial uncertainty transforms into confidence. By the end, many of us were really surprised at how far we had come in just a few months, not only in terms of technical skill, but in our ability to approach architecture through a completely new lens. It's a challenging journey, yes, but also an incredibly rewarding one. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Hande. It was very nice, very concise, and very impressive. of the work that we have done and of the efforts that we have put in these years-long masters for the three of you. Going by what you did, already brought a lot of proudness into what we actually did for this master. So thanks a lot for the three of you, Hamza, Livni, and Emma, for explaining. And I think aside from showing us your very impressive work, and I think it's also very noticeable how well do you guys get along with each other and how much you emphasize on MaCAD being a huge family and a huge network platform that I really think both the three of you, but all of our students are capitalizing from, and we are still enjoying together. So thanks a lot, guys. I hope you can stick around in case we have some questions. We're actually open for that. Laurie, we have a few minutes, right?
Yes, correct. I wanted to share IAC blog, so like you can explore the syllabi. Oh, sorry, I sent it not in the everyone. So you can explore the project that Eva Libniande also presented today, and also check out the syllabi prepared by the faculties if you're curious. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, if this question you guys want to like answer, or it's more technical and stay on us on the schedule. John Memtas asked about the weekly schedule. So the program requires commitments in the sense that we don't ask students to stay connected all day, but just to choose a format, either synchronous one or asynchronous one. And classes goes Monday to Friday. But usually Friday, we just have support sessions that are not mandatory. So if you think about it, MaCAD will represent to you, let's say, a part-time commitment in terms of connection, and closer to the finals, it will be a little bit more intensive. So we recommend you to be flexible with your work schedule if you want to engage with MaCAD, but it's totally doable. Many of our students were working during MaCAD. Emily will be part of MaCAD. Thanks for writing, Emily. I don't remember if it's MaCAD 1 or MaCAD 2 in this precise moment, but we look forward to start together. And you can add like Eva Libniande on LinkedIn and MaCAD 2. Nice. And whichever, be ready, because Emily is not that easy. Yeah? She will make you thousands of questions, but it's nice because she's very curious and excited about MaCAD.
Bring them in, Emily.
And then, yeah, I see other students actually of that will join next year. So it's good that you join to know more about and hear more about the program. And I don't know if there are any other questions. I received one before and I shared the blog, so you can double check the course's content within the blog. And if you have any other question, you can contact me or even contact David via email. I don't know. Rania as well. Hi, Rania.
We have a few students that will be joining us next year. It's nice to see them around.
Yeah, also Charles.
Daniel also, I think.
Yeah, Daniel as well. Look, Rania has a question.
Hey everyone, how are you doing?
Hi, Rania. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Just wanted to say that as I followed the last thing that Hande showed about artificial intelligence and how it can, I mean, see a little bit how to know the prices of the places of I completely lost the word. Sorry.
Property. Yeah.
Sorry. No, I got nervous. So yes. about it, yeah, it reminded me actually of a research that made by a professor of mine in Granada, University of Granada. No, she knows Francisco Abarca. He also made a research about demographic dwelling models by artificial intelligence to see if one urban fabric is similar to another urban fabric in a different city, for example. I've had a small experience to do that because of my thesis. I had to compare a small, actually, settlement that is very near to the Medina of Tunis. And we used artificial intelligence to compare both fabrics using some parameters. We actually calculated them without artificial intelligence, and they seemed very, very similar. And I wanted to know if I would have this possibility to suggest that in the course, like something completely different.
I don't know. I guess we would have to look more into detail and see how your proposal fits into the course. Maybe the space that would be more suitable to those kinds of proposals would be the thesis projects, where you have a little bit more freedom to propose within, of course, some certain frame topics. But if there's enough intersection of what you describe and what we are teaching, of course, we would be willing to consider that as part of a topic that you can research on your own in the last part of MaCAD. Are you enrolled for MaCAD 2 already, or 1?
I think almost.
Well, if you would be joining MaCAD 2, that would be include this thesis project where you can actually you have a little bit more of freedom to research, and that can be either a topic of your interest, but also can be maybe a topic that your office is interested in somehow developing and collaborating with. Or we could always help you find a very interesting topic that you could be developing as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Just wanted to share that because it seemed really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Rania. Just
Maybe
a quick
I
note
can-
about this AI module is that it's always evolving. So because of the whole AI framework is evolving, we are constantly updating our courses to somehow fit the latest tools that you can benefit from. Alumni, you were saying something.
Yeah, no, just maybe like tips and tricks, because it is an online format. I think it's important that you ask as many questions as you can during the classes, like even the stupidest questions. Like it just keeps things more interesting, and also you learn more. It will be more entertaining if you that. What I'm saying is, I'm also saying that from the seat of the teacher now, because last semester I was in that position, and it's so much more better if you start asking as many questions as you can during the classes. And then the other thing is, I think we were with Eva and Hande, we were the last generation with that we didn't have the ChatGPT Copilot yet. We use it at the very end. But from last year, everybody's using it. So it's very important that you guys, put the time to understand the basics. Because like just asking ChatGPT to do the work for you is not gonna be so helpful. I'm saying it particularly now in the startup, that we have to do the real stuff. And even though we use those tools, ChatGPT and Copilot, it's so important to understand the principles of what's going on behind. But it's a cool format. I like it. It was fun.
The conversation about the inclusion of these new large language models as systems for academia, especially for those code-based academia, is a very complicated and difficult and like polemic one at at this point. But since you bring in that topic, and I think you know, because you have been assisting this course as well this year, we're also now training our students on the best practices on how to use AI assistants for coding, because it's been really fast in these past 2 years, how from more traditional type of learning of how to code in this year on shifting almost completely to vibe coding unintentionally from the students. It has really changed the way that we engage with students and with technology. So one thing that we take very seriously is the methods of teaching these technologies, and not only how you teach them to practice, but also how you use them in a day-to-day for development of these tools. It's a very fast-paced changing world nowadays, and everything that has to do with this. But like Livni says, understanding the basics, it's super important. Okay, since we have still Hande, Eva, and Livni already shared some suggestions, or you know, whether they're on topic or off topic, whatever comes from your mind, Hande and Eva, that you want to share, maybe some personal suggestions or experiences or some tips for those of these guys that would be interested in joining.
Yeah, maybe. I really agree with Libni, so you have to take advantage and ask as many questions as you can. I also think that it might seem overwhelming because it's very like a lot of different topics, and you have to, you know, deliver tasks every week. But I think that it's very fulfilling at the end. I mean, I look at myself before the master, and then I look at myself after the master, and I feel much more concrete now. So I think it's worth it, and it's worth it to dedicate as much time as you are able to.
Well, I would have one suggestion, especially for the last module. I think it wasn't required for any of us to know Python before, but knowing Python beforehand would save you a lot of time during the last module, because obviously there are a lot of things to learn, there are a lot of projects to do, and you know, trying to learn coding at the same time consumes a lot of time. I mean, we did it like that. It's not impossible, but if I went back in time, I would definitely, you know, study some coding before.
Thanks, that's a very good advice. I think you maybe don't get an overview when you start, but when you're through with everything, you understand how important is having a kind of not just coding, but this algorithmic mindset. Because I think maybe one common line throughout the program is that it's throughout the module is that it's a transition in between transforming really design processes into data. And at the end, what we do is basically we juggle with this data to come up with some interesting stuff. But this process is never trivial, and especially not easy if you're very foreign to these ideas such as programming and you know, algorithmic thinking. So I think having this mindset, I agree with Hande that having this mindset from the beginning and preparing yourself as much as possible for the masters is something that you, I mean, even beyond what we require, it's something that you would be definitely behooved about. Well, time for maybe one last question before we wrap up. If any of you guys is curious, what type of careers do MaCAD graduates venture into once they are complete the program? Well, I think you can take a few of these examples, right? Some of the students, Hande and Eva, Livni and Eva, for example, have become our assistants, and they will surely become an assistant eventually in a MaCAD as well. They're always considered to assisting in the program itself academically as maybe one immediate career path. But as they were saying, either they join like Livni to upgrade their skills in their own office, and then somehow they follow a different, more specialty path. Or you know, because you're always in touch with faculties that are on prominent places in relation to computational design, and you know, you always have like a first-hand contact in offices like the ones I was mentioning before. In the photo that Livni showed, there was all of our former students, and I was really proud to see that they're all working for big, important architectural offices that are doing very interesting things like Grimshaw, Saha, Foster, well, whatnot, big, all of the big names in the digital technologies world. You will definitely get first-hand contact or approach with. So I would just say that if you really take this seriously, and that's one of your goals, and you apply yourself, it's almost certain that your skills will be appreciated by these offices who are doing you know, the same kinds of things that we are teaching in masters.
Thank you so much. Thank you, David. I guess there is a last question about the Grasshopper and Python preparation to be enough before the master.
I think so. I really think so. Like 3 months diving into a Grasshopper course, maybe getting acquainted with the basics of Python, really, you know, really trying to do that will put you in a good spot already, I think. So yeah, you'll be in good hands, but just get to know the principles of those with some practice, and I think you'll be definitely able to join us. We'll help you out also. So well, just to wrap up, from my side, thanks, Laurie, for introducing. Thank you, especially Hannah, Livni, Eva, for your you know, your presentations, your view from the program, and especially your kind, warm words about us. We really miss you. Really still hope to keep in touch with you guys. And for the rest of you, we also really hope that you become part of this family, this very highly technological, nerdy family that we have. And also part of this network, as something that may hopefully contributes positively to your career paths. So thank you all. Thank you for joining. And
Thank you. Thank you as well.
it's very nice.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
a lot, David.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Good luck.
Thank you,
Eva,
guys.
and
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you. See you,
guys.
Laura. See you
Hope to
guys.
see you soon. Ciao, ciao.
thank
Bye.
you, Livni. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Have a nice day. Hope to talk to you.